Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great, good. It's been a while since I reviewed some gear, so today we're going to look at a recently released product that may be of interest to owners of CZ457 rifles, particularly those who compete with them. On trial today is the NDr Shooting Supplies 15-round magazine for the CZ457 22LR rimfire rifle. Now, NDr, a company out of Quebec, earned a lot of positive press with their Tika 1X magazines, so they decided to expand into the CZ457 market. Now, at the moment, and unlike the Tika magazines, which see capacities ranging from 5 to 15 rounds, NDr only offers at this time a 15-round option for CZ457s. Now, as always, everything that I review on this channel is gear that I pay for. Why, NDr wouldn't even know I've reviewed this magazine unless they checked me out on YouTube, Rumble, or Odyssey. See what I did there? Okay, let's get into it. As unboxing experiences go, well, this is going to be a little underwhelming because this is all that you get in the package. You get a magazine, of course. You get a product card. And for those of you who crave them, yes, you will get a sticker. Now, the product card specifies at the front that it is for the CZ457 round. But if you turn it over, it tells you it's also compatible with the CZ455, 453, 452, and 512, and it also works with the Lithgow LA101. And that's it, and thank God, because I'm out of fingers. Now, about the magazine itself. As stated, it is for the 22LR round, and has a capacity of 15 rounds, no witness holes. That's unfortunate. For you polymer phobes out there, it is made out of T6 6061 aluminum, and it has a Type 2 anodizing finish. The polymer, which is plastic, has an anti-tilt feature. Finally, for the Canadian Patriots, it is developed and manufactured in Canada. But don't worry, those of you who live in Biden land, you can buy it there as well. Now, it's written in small letters here, unfortunately, but this magazine can't be used with the MDT ACC chassis. Also, if you have MDT's extended latch and spacer kit installed, you might want to take a pass. I'll explain that later. As a man who's had some small experience with trying to get magazines to work properly with the rifle that they were allegedly designed for, I can appreciate how difficult it is to get magazine geometry correct. Doesn't take much for a magazine to feed rounds improperly, causing failures to feed or outright stoppages. I am grateful, largely because I paid for this and would prefer it, to report the magazine functioned flawlessly. Now, due to shortages, I didn't get to test the magazine with as wide a variety of ammunition as I would have liked, but I did run through a decent variety nonetheless. Now, whether the ammunition was the relatively dry CCI green tag to the heavily coated Ely Biathlon, the magazine functioned fine and fed rounds without issue. I didn't experience one failure to feed or stoppage after passing through several hundred rounds through this magazine. This is a review, so I am, as always, contractually obligated to offer pros and cons. As is with the tradition of this channel, I shall begin with cons. And the big one is price. This baby weighs in at $78 in Biden bucks and $90 in more useless Trudeau tokens. Now, as price scalpy as OEM CZ magazines can be, NDr's magazines carry a premium. Is an extra 5 rounds worth the extra money? That's up to you. Now, someone could counter that this is quality. I mean, it feels great. It's machined. It's aluminum. It's anodized. Ultimately, however, value is up to you. But they are expensive once you factor taxes and shipping. I paid $120 Canadian to get this to my door. Now, if you're running a stock rifle, this won't be of concern to you, but NDr's magazine does not fit into MDT's ACC chassis, which is a fairly popular one among CZ457 owners. You're also likely to have problems if you use MDT's extended magazine latch and spacer kit, as I happen to. I actually had to remove the rifle from the chassis and do a little bit of minor surgery in order to remove the magazine. Once that was done, all I had to do was just bend the magazine latch forward a little bit in order to eject magazines. Now that's not brain surgery, but if the idea of disassembling your rifle and modifying a part is something that you're nervous to do, keep that in mind. If you have questions about compatibility, however, I've found that NDr is pretty good about answering emails. Kind of surprising that there aren't witness holes on the sides to allow you to see how much ammunition you have left. Now, those of you who are anal about maintenance are probably not going to like that the only way to clean the inside of this magazine is to remove 4 screws rather than, simply sliding a floor plate off, as many magazines do. Now, whether this system is actually simpler than how most magazines are disassembled is probably up to personal preference, but it's probably not a field procedure anyway, given how easy it is for those screws to disappear. Now, pros. I own both metal and polymer OEM magazines for my CZ457. Great and reliable magazines, by the way, and I have to say that this NDr magazine surpasses them all. It drips with quality. Now, you might raise an eyebrow at the fact that it has a plastic follower, but in talking with Nelson Drolet, the founder of the company, he felt that a metal follower wouldn't actually confer any additional reliability. I own plenty of magazines with non-metal followers, and they've been no less reliable than their metal counterparts. Either way, these magazines have been rock solid in the time that I've used them. And speaking of reliability, I've put hundreds of rounds through this magazine since buying it, and I've had not one failure to feed. Now, my OEM magazines have a similar reliability, I'll admit. I think I've maybe had 1 or 2 failures to feed over the past year and a half using those. So the NDr magazine certainly isn't a step behind in that regard. Rimfire magazines aren't generally a pain to load, but I have to say that of all the magazine-fed rimfire rifles I have ever worked with, be they 5-round magazines out to 25 rounds, these may be the easiest loading magazines I've ever used. You only ever feel any real resistance when you get to about the 14th round, and it's still no issue to load. So do I recommend it? I think competition shooters will likely be interested in this magazine. Magazine extenders typically give you maybe an extra 2 rounds on a 10-round magazine, whereas this gives you 15 rounds out of the box. Now, I do think it's probably harder to justify for casual shooters. If you really want extra capacity, you can always opt for CZ's 25-round magazine, which is actually cheaper, but something that competition shooters would avoid since the length of that magazine would get in their way. That said, if you want to spend the money, it's an option either way. Now, the question I always ask is, would I buy this again knowing what I know now? Yes, I would. But I would also state that I plan on competitive shooting this year, so I can justify the expense of this magazine. Well, justify. So, do I give this a recommend, provided it either fits into your use case or you just don't mind spending the money? I think it's worth it. There is a non-affiliate link in the description below to the company's Canadian and American websites if you're interested in picking up one for yourself or want to look over their Tika magazines. At any rate, I hope you found today's video at least be vaguely entertaining and mildly informative. As always, I hope your trips to the range are always fun and exciting. Take care, and bye-bye.